What day we go next? 4 hours?
Worst case scenario, that doesn't happen very often. Just when important.
I think we had some more directions last year.
Shorter meetings, yep, hour long. Well, that just means you give him more discretion, and then you can have shorter meetings.
There is research.
Hour meetings, exactly.
You know? If for a volunteer position, our first season of high school wrestling. It's Logan's second year wrestling. We just got done with football. I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, it would have been hard to step in. It might be, because he's got lots of things.
He's got. Yep. I can't believe how into it. So we had an Ames last Thursday, and the boys on the left it was like a life. The girls on the other side was hollering and cheering each other on.
That's things, you know, haven't quite got the time.
Yep.
It's fun to watch.
It is. Yeah, 8th grade Logan, they put you in beginners, so he was able to have some success and won more of the matches than he lost, but then he gets to this year, and at his weight class, there aren't any beginners, so he's just getting butt kicked too, and it's fun. Like I think it's good for him. He's just.
I'll have to get over there when, it's like a full day event between JV, varsity.
Man, they all in that game. The last 2 or 3 guys had their gun tied up in that first round. I don't know if he went on Saturday. On Saturday? No, the Ames guy didn't make weight. Or chose not to wrestle. So Wise was unopposed.
Broadway plays in a row, and all three were dead. And 7 days down the Bahamas. 79 degrees down.
He's actually helping a lot, coach. He's helping coach.
And the male, I mean, we were invited to the new U.S. judge, his big deal on Friday, but he had to respond.
You see him all.
On that milk. All right, let's get this show on the road. Good evening. Let me call the meeting to order. Tonight is December 8, 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. We are at 10 West State Street, which is the official Marshall County City Council chambers. Now that we've been called to order, would those who are able will join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Fonseca. Here. Kell.
Here.
Lottiehoff.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Very good. Full house. It's public comment time. Members of the public may make comments on any item that was not on the agenda during this time. You're to approach the mic, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes unless I authorize longer. And you're supposed to direct your comments to the mayor and the council as a whole. The mayor and council may provide a response to the public comment, but shall not engage in discussion or debate on items raised by members of the public, and no action may be taken on those items so that we comply with our open meetings laws. The microphone is open.
Good evening, Council. My name is Zach Wall. My address is 2409 South 7th Avenue. I promise you, Lonnie didn't drag me in here. But we want to talk about, at least I want to talk about, when you talked about, Zach, you need to get the word out what's going on in our community. I'm part of a director of Marshtown Little League. We haven't seen a board in over a year, years, and this board formed probably over a year ago. And as most of everybody's aware, we have problems down there. And we're trying to fix them up, doing the best we can. And we're very fortunate to have the community we have. And, we've had a rocky start, but we're on track with the board we have. And you're going to see more information come out of what our goals are. And with the community support, if you guys follow the Facebook page, Marshtown Baseball Club, we've replaced the roofs this year with community support. These businesses, there's over 60 businesses involved with supporting us to get this place back up and going. The other thing, too, that you're going to see more about is really unique is foul poles. These kids haven't seen true foul poles in years. It may be silly, but it's artwork to us. And we have over 10 businesses put foul poles in. These foul poles, if you order them today, 20 foot, they're over $30,000 for foul poles. We have companies that donate their time, such as Brothers Garage, painting the foul poles. We got companies such as Central Iowa Machine Shop that fabricated them. We had another company help design the poles. We had the local concrete company in town donate some concrete. We had El Toro Construction donate their time doing the concrete work. We had Gervich help out with the metal to these poles. It's a big deal, these kids. We haven't been on a level playing field for years down there. And if you look at pictures of what it looked like before, we had the field higher, the infield, outfield here, and you literally drop off. We reached out to Minnesota Twins, applied for a grant, got some funding to help fix some of this stuff. What I can tell you is we still need help. We need major help. And we're doing the best we can. We have some bigger goals in mind. We want to get field lights. We're excited about this study that's going on right now. We're intrigued what's going to come out of it. But again, this point I just want to talk about, I know Lonnie himself has saved us thousands of dollars. He helped take down a backstop. Actually, he just touched it and literally part of it fell off. And he saved us thousands of dollars. And these are just a sample of names that we've dealt with down there. And again, we appreciate his help. We appreciate the community. We're very blessed this year to be in the position we're in. So again, I think the community gets it. I know you guys get it. And again, we're looking forward to what comes out of the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. And if you look at that board that you've got assembled, it's a really good board of people that really care. And the pictures, keep posting them because the amount of work and the history of this town with the baseball where we used to have the state tournament and that sort of thing, that's what's got people excited that it just might come back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, one last thing. I know, we've got lucky this year. It's about 5.5 to 6 hours of mowing down there. Believe it or not, that's not trimming. We had, Joe Miller, a graduate of 72. He's been down there helping us out. We have people coming out of nowhere, individuals that had that history of Little League, the history of our community, and it's important to them, and they want to make it happen. So again, we appreciate. The last thing, Adam Yellen, the big thing too is as we get through stuff is how do we collaborate better with whether the city, waterworks, these entities. It's hard, and we're trying to do the best we can. We got the fields leveled off, and then all of a sudden we found water underneath the fields. So back in the day, there's water on each field. You put the garden hose up, you water the infield in. We weren't watering the grass. Well, now after we got the fields, we have problems. There's live water, so we had to have someone come in to fix them. Adam Yellen took 2-3 days out of his whole day to fix them. Adam was able to get Waterworks to come out, try to assist. It didn't work out, but he was able to get Construct to show up and donate their time also. We've also have the survey company, CGA, donate their time surveying. So again, at some point, if you guys want to learn more, I'm more happy to present more. But again, I know, like Lonnie said, I need to do a better job telling everybody, all the great things going on that the community is doing to help us. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Zach.
Yep.
Microphone's still open.
Hello, Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. I have been in the martial arts since 1980, 45 years. My current rank is 6th degree black belt master. I have taught for over 30 years at Iowa Valley Continuing Education and the Community Y, with 53 of my students attaining the rank of black belt under my instruction. In the past year and a half, I've had a $250 cover for my Harley stolen. My SUV has been broken into twice. The first time, they took a registered $600 gun. The second time, I think they were looking for the replacement gun, but I didn't put it in there. They didn't bother any other valuable things in the SUV, but did manage to take my car cleaning supplies both times. All the incidents were reported to the police with no results. Pit bulls, as I've mentioned several times, there are 12 pit bulls within 5 blocks of where I live. I've had confrontations with 4 of them. For the last year and a half, I was a pain in the butt to my councilman, the former police chief, and the mayor. The mayor decided he'd had enough and sent me a long personal email threatening to stop me. The TR contacted me and asked me if I would give them a copy. I was a little taken aback, as only the mayor and I knew about it. I thought it was personal. So obviously the mayor contacted the TR, and the next day on the front page was the email. The next council meeting, I spoke about the freedom of speech, citing several Supreme Court rulings given to me by 2 lawyers that I didn't even know. I'm on a task force for the mayor revising our animal ordinance. Pit bulls were not addressed. There were a couple people on the committee that were against my viewpoint. I knew it would start a confrontation, and that wouldn't end up well. The dog park, 16 years ago, I was on the committee for the dog park. We were having a hard time getting donations, and we decided if a large donor came up, we'd name the park after him. $4,000 was the figure they came up with. I said I'd do that, and I'd name the park after my late wife, who died from a brain tumor. The Park and Rec director said we weren't doing that anymore, but I was allowed to put up a sign that said the sign was donated in her name. I was the largest private donor of the park, donating over $3,000 and buying 6 engraved bricks at $100 each. 15 years later, we have a water park, and after a donation of $400,000, we're naming the park after the donor. So I guess we're not doing that again. So I inquired about naming the park after my late wife. I was told I would have to fill out a multi-page application form and appear before a committee. If you know me well, you know I'm really all about fairness and being treated equally. So I decided if the $400 donor didn't, and I'm pretty sure he didn't, then I'm not either. So I guess the dog park is not going to be named after my wife. The recent election, I voted for change. The majority of the 3,000 people who voted did not agree with me. Only a little more than 10% of the citizens voted. I'm sure more people had the same thoughts as me, because I've heard many complaints, but if you don't vote, don't bitch. People need to vote, and they need to attend their council meetings. There was a rumor that a lot of money was spent in the recent election. I don't really care for that either. My thoughts on that, if I spend that much money, someday I'm going to want to pay back. Now I'm going to ask a favor. Please no applause or high fives. This is my last council meeting. My new address is in Eldora. Thank you.
Mic is still open.
Tim Bradbury, 12 North 10th Avenue. Positive note, I was talking to Park and Rec Director tonight, but I think it'd be neat if we keep having winters like we're starting to have a neat skating rink. And I was throwing the idea out, whether it be at the Riverview Park or somewhere I come. When I lived in Detroit, I lived on a lake, and we had a big concession stand and housewarming place where you rent skates and do different things. And maybe start small but build upon it and see a neat thing from Marshalltown. It grew into hockey leagues and different things that I think it could be real neat for Marshalltown. And maybe throw out having a committee start up or whatever and help get some ideas going, or whether those little lakes by the south end of town would work for something like that, but what would be city connected, but something like if we can have snacks and different things at the aquatic center, why couldn't the city do something like that for a winter league type thing and see it grow and be a neat thing for Marshalltown? So it's just a thought for a positive thing. My negative thing being school bus driver was we talk about trash, and I hate talking about trash. I'm tired of it. But that you listen to the people, And the only issues I seen was because of these new containers now being put on the roads because they can't put them in the snow piles or they'll tip over and then start scattering. I've seen that now since last week. I still like, if you listen to the people, go back to either leave it alone or not keep pushing, going to this new technology, because the old technology still worked. They keep the garbage by their house, control people going through your garbage, because you can't control it when they're coming through your garbage when it's parked outside, and then having the right to take our own. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Michael Merritt. I live at 2510 South 6th Street, apartment D24. I'm probably the reason most of your accounts are over their size limits, possibly. I just want to say, Mayor Greer, that I have talked to, or at least emailed, many elected officials, and I think the correspondence, whether as brief as it was, I've had with you, really inspired me regarding your character. I don't know you well, but you reached out to me at a time when I was feeling very isolated, and it meant a lot to me, and I appreciate that. I think what frustrates me is after serving this country for 20 years and reaching out to people across the state, and I mean, did any of you all, have you ever emailed me, ever? And I think that's the problem we have in this nation. It seems like once people are elected to office, there's this invisible barrier between the state and the people regarding the lawyers that are put there to be somewhat of a gatekeeper between the people and who's elected. And I've been accused of probably more crimes than I'd like to talk to Officer Stevenson about, but it wasn't very enjoyable, and I've never been charged with a crime. I had a top secret clearance for 20 years, and I was retired honorably in 2017. I've produced a case file of evidence across the state of Iowa that supports, I feel very strongly, that the mental health disability discrimination I've dealt with across the state of Iowa was rooted in conduct that started in this municipality regarding your police department. My home was searched in 2019 regarding false allegations of harassment, third degree of Iowa's Code Section 708.7, and I was never arrested. But that paradigm slowly spread to Newton, Iowa, where the call of service between the Marshtown PD and the Newton PD, where they searched my house. And then when I provided Jasper County evidence of my domestic violence restraining order being violated as a protected party, they did nothing, I'm guessing because they already had a preconceived notion of who they thought I was. I wasn't worth protecting or whatever. Fast track a few years later, I have evidence showing that Jasper County, Iowa's Scott Nicholson's office coordinated with Iowa Public Information Board Executive Director Eckley regarding discriminating against my mental health disabilities across the state of Iowa. I'm talking all across the state of Iowa, including the Iowa Attorney General's office. I currently have 2 complaints open against Iowa Attorney General's office, and I think the reason I came here, for the most part, was because I currently volunteer at the Triumph Center, where I see people who possibly have mental health disabilities just sleeping on the floor, and I believe that's evidence of. I would respectfully submit you all's failure to properly manifest dynamic code that allows our fire marshal to provide safety during decent temperatures, but something that can flow dynamically during cold weather, where we can provide people at least cots where people can sleep in a healthy, humane manner. I spoke to Fire Marshal Warnell today, and he told me that the reason that is not possible is because of the code requirements that you all promulgate. And I think that it's very lazy to just go off of City of Grants Pass versus Johnson, where the Supreme Court has dictated that it's not cruel and humane punishment to arrest people that are homeless. I believe, and it's something I emailed you guys, you all a few weeks ago, that Supreme Court precedent does not illustrate truth. It only manifests evidence of the contents of the souls of the judicial officers that put out those opinions. I mean, I think we witnessed that with the appeal of Roe versus Wade. I mean, those things are not concrete. They just reflect the opinions of the time. And I don't think that the persecution of the homeless is something that's going to last, decades from now. I think it's our responsibility as leaders to take care of people that aren't able to take care of themselves. And if we neglect to do that, we're only providing evidence of the contents of our own souls. And I will continue sleeping on the concrete floor because I care about defending the rights of others that aren't able to defend themselves, which is why I do the work I do. I'm not vexatious. I just care about people. And I've lost everything. I haven't seen my kids in almost 10 years. I've never been arrested for a crime. And I still have respect for our local police department, regardless of how much I may have disagreed with how they've conducted themselves in the past. But I'm going to be sending out over a couple hundred record requests to find out how other municipalities and government agencies within Iowa allow for the use of COTS, so I can present this government body with a reasonable plan on how we can fix that. Because with all due respect regarding the amount of email I've received from you guys, I just have zero confidence that you all are going to do anything to fix that problem. I respect your authority over me, but I respectfully submit that I am highly motivated to fix things I feel do not reflect the spirit of this nation. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Lonnie Hoagland, 1408 East Main Street. My children in the crowd said, "Dad, don't embarrass me." Luke and Levi, "Don't wear that stupid vest in there." I even had another citizen, Zach Wall, say, "Don't wear it." A couple weeks ago, at the last meeting, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, I wore a stupid-looking, Hawaiian-looking safety vest. I'm trying to prove a point taught to me by Stan Dorr, my 10th grade teacher, for speech. He said a demonstration speech is the best speech. I think there is no way possible I can compete with these 3-4 people that have just spoke. I'm not a public speaker, but I've accidentally been put into that position. Did you listen to anything Zach Wall said? I'm sure you did, because the room was silent. That Little League place is embarrassing. Go there. If you haven't been there, go there. It's safety violations. It's got room for improvement. Listen to all the people he named off that are donating their own time or their own money. I helped him. I am not here to say I helped him, but I helped him install those foul poles. Those things are built like a tank. They're not installed yet, excuse me, but I helped him haul them once and haul them again after they got painted. Don't want to scratch them. They're beautiful. He's got a group of people that are putting sweat into it, that are doing good stuff. Help it, you know. You got a poor guy that got disgusted. He delivered you a beautiful speech today. I'm not supposed to mention any names, but I complained that he was talking about pit bulls too much. He's just driven on his topics. He's a good guy. I hope he isn't moving out of Marshalltown because he don't like the place. It's a good town. I'm going to reach out to him. Blah, blah, blah. I wore the vest because I'm not supposed to name names, but there's a police department in the crowd that they could probably tell you how many snow route tows I performed in the middle of the night the other night when you guys were busy sleeping. I talked to Shannon Wall as a dispatcher. I don't know how many times, but she's doing her job dispatching Central Iowa Towing, Larry's Towing, Hoagland Towing. And I said, "Ma'am, how many times have we talked tonight? It's a recorded line. You can listen to everything I said. And you leave Hoagland Auto Plaza at 12:05, basically right into the new time. It might have been 1:05, excuse me. I think it was 1:05. And I leave there and I get to Hoagland School, which I'm on my way to 400 block Melody Lane. Oh, Lonnie, we've changed our mind. The customer, the citizen, got up and put their pajamas on, come outside, and moved their car at 1 o'clock in the morning. We need you to go to 500 block East Church now. Okay, Shannon, I'll drive across town in 6 inches of snow. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, sir. I'm just empathizing with the citizens, with the police department that got to go out there and look at it. Oh, my goodness. And I guess I'm asking maybe for Chief Jones to talk about this a hair. There was a lot of cars this time. We were busy. You had to do the cul-de-sacs are terrible because you can't plow it when there's a car parked on a cul-de-sac. You go up behind, I'm going to call it the old Yonkers, top of the hill there. It's Glenda Drive. I crested the hill. It's like, oh, dear. I don't know how many cars were up there. You ever try to tow a car when there's 6 inches of snow? Because it's bad. But I'm just saying, Marshalltown's got a lot of good. Maybe we get a better way to announce to the people that, hey, the snow route's in ordinance. Mustaine Towing has stepped away from towing a little bit because he's based out of State Center. He's having some cancer trouble, so State Center reached out to me. In State Center, Iowa, you cannot park on the street when it's snowing, any street. There's no, I didn't know it was a snow route. Well, they tow them. So I helped out State Center in the middle of that mess too, but slow down, move over. And I went to a towing convention once where that instructor said, Lonnie, the more of that safety stuff you have on you, when you get killed, the bigger that check's going to be for my kids. That's a little bit of humor, but maybe Chief could speak a little bit on it.
Thanks, Lonnie. Mic is still open?
Maybe not.
He has a right to remain silent, too.
He's going to use that right.
Sarah Rosemond, Marshalltown Public Library Director. I do have some happy news. So if you don't know, I think most people do though, the two houses on the northwest corner of the library, well, it's the Friends property, have been moved down to the 400 block. I was amazed. I got the second one moved on Friday, considering the weather. And I want to thank, that is a citizen who, actually, it's a great project. These houses have been saved. They were going to get torn down. Those lots were lots that the city purchased after the tornado, derecho, and I think it's great that, hopefully next summer we'll see families in those two houses. I do want to remind folks, I want to thank Parks and I want to thank Streets for getting the library open this weekend and last weekend, not Saturday. We were not open, but Sunday. I do want to thank them for all their hard work. It's really important. And I know we're apparently having more bad weather on Wednesday, so please, I'm asking the public to check the library's Facebook page and our website to see if we're going to have any delayed hours or anything. We have 3 programs on Wednesday, so I'm hoping that we're going to have at least a couple of them. And then lastly, because we're getting ready for our big project, I found the 1898 ordinance, which I realized 1898 is when the voters voted on to make the library the library. And I'm sure Diana wouldn't like this part, but apparently in the ordinance, it says the board shall, before the first day of August each year, determine and fix the amount or rate not to exceeding 2 mills on the dollar of the taxable valuation of the city to be levied, collected, and appropriated for the library. I was like, ooh, I don't know how much that is, but it might be, it might be good. So that, it's just really interesting, and we will probably pass this book over to City Hall, so, with the others, but thank you.
Sarah?
Hi, Chris Jones, Chief of Police. So last weekend and this weekend, we did receive a little bit higher than I had expected in snow ordinance tows. Last Saturday, we had towed 30 vehicles, and the week before we towed 30, and this last weekend on Saturday evening, we towed 34. We had gotten the information out. Heather did a wonderful job on a weekend to get that information out on the city's website. We post notifications. I shared all of that information plus the weather forecast either the day before or the day of. Shared all the city information for our Facebook page in hopes to try to decrease that number. But those were the totals, so 64.
Thank you. Anyone else? That means it's time for council, administrator, and mayor comments. Anybody like to talk? Let's go on to the consent agenda.
For approval?
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mitchell. Nichols.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Fonseca. Yes. Kell.
Yes.
Lottiehoff.
Yes.
Very good. That carried. On to resolutions. We got 4 of those. What's our first?
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the award of contract for the Marshalltown Public Library remodel project number LIB 25001 in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa, in the amount of $474,000 to Garland Construction.
Move for approval?
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Sarah Rosenblum, Marshalltown Public Library Director. We did open the bids last week. I want to thank Alicia for her assistance, Heather, David Deemer, for everybody who's been helping us on this project. We were very pleased with the bids. And they came in lower than estimate, and we are recommending Garland Construction. Garland is well-known entity in our community and has worked on a number of projects, and we feel like they'll be a great help. They'll do a great job at the library. And this, just a reminder, one more time, this project is being funded by the Friends of the Marshalltown Public Library.
Comments or questions up here? I know you can look out the window and see the grocery store. Garling did that. They did the Mac building. I know Steve's here to talk about the airport later. They did the work on the hangar and terminal. They've been kind of a major player in town.
Yeah. And again, I do want to thank Heather for taking the time in her schedule to come and talk to our architect last week and just kind of laid out what we need to do. It really is helpful. I don't, as you guys know, I don't do a lot of these projects. I'm not like Heather, and Kelsey, of course, has a lot of projects going on, but I do appreciate all the assistance that I've gotten from everybody here at the city. So.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Sure.
Sarah, I was looking at the drawings, and I wanted to ask you if you could give us a brief overview of kind of what is all going to change when we're coming in through the main doors, and just kind of.
Sure, that's great. So when you walk in the main doors, which we consider the Boone entrance, you're going to turn left and you're going to walk all the way down to, could be the reference area information desk, depending on how old you are. And so that whole area to the left of the existing reference desk, where right now there's a bank of computers and then tables and the local history collection, is going to be transformed into 6 new gathering meeting spaces, everything from 2 small rooms, a podcasting room, a social lounge, we could talk about that if you want, a larger meeting room, and then the boardroom type room. We're also going to keep the heart of local history there. That is the Martha Ellen Ty local history section, so we'll keep some of that there. It'll come back. We had a meeting with MECDINE today. MECDINE will do the technology in that room just the way that they did the technology in our big room. We're keeping our local vendor that does our cameras, but yeah, we're very excited about offering this new space. The library, when the library was built 17 years ago, I was told that the big driver, maybe the mayor remembers this, was meeting space, free public meeting space. And we've been in our building 17 years this month. And we know that we are able to consolidate collection, that's what we call books, and open up this space. So we think it's going to be really heavily used. I've been warning people, though, that for the next, the first 6 months of the new year, there'll be a little less space. But I think it's going to be very exciting when it's all completed. I know Carol's even expressed interest maybe in a podcast. So we're very excited about this new space and what we think it's going to offer. The social lounge, as I mentioned it, we have a lot of supervised visits at the library with social workers and families in the summer. Sometimes they'll go to a park, but we have that. We also have just another space where maybe a group of people want to come and do an informal book discussion. Maybe you want to sit with some friends and knit. So we just think, we're not sure how the space is going to work. We think it'll evolve, but I think it's going to be a good kind of a space in between, like what you might think of a coffee shop. We're not doing coffee, but or a den or something. So we're excited about that. And we think this is really going to serve us well going forward. I mean, we have an outstanding library, and I think you're all aware of that. But even the architects were kind of, I think rightly so, talking about, these are the architects that built the library or designed the library 17 years ago, and they were like kind of overwhelmed by how great we maintain the building and how well the building has held up. And I go to a lot of libraries, and I have a very, I look at libraries and I'm like, oh, they haven't done a good job. So we really have a great foundation, and we're just making it even better for the next 15, 20 years. So
I think it'll look really amazing when it's done, and and also looking at the space where it's going to be redone, I think the plans will maximize the use of that space. Just being going to the library and just seeing kind of like it's not always packed back there. So I understand why it's going to be remodeled there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really great use of that space. And now that we've been in it, I've been here 14 years. We see how things have ebbed and flowed, and we have a lot of people that do work remotely or from home, and so they tell us that they can come in there and get work done that they can't necessarily do at home because, you're at home and you think, oh, I'll stop and I'll take a break and, do the laundry or something. But we have a lot of people, and a lot of people come to this area to meet people, a client or something, and, I don't know why I'm still surprised. Somebody says, oh yeah, I'm from Cedar Rapids, I'm here for 2 days, I'm staying at the Tremont, and I want to come here and work. So we have a lot of that, and, we have the free internet and printing. I mean, I helped somebody today, I don't know if she's here, that was printing a lot of documents for her presentation here or for something to do with the city. So we helped her print all that out. So we do a lot of printing. That's a big deal. Faxing, which I know people think nobody faxes anymore, but we fax probably at least 10, 15 times a week for people. So.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sarah.
It is substantial completion is listed as June 1. We'll see. I hope not, because I'm actually not going to be here on June 1. I'm going to be on vacation. But I think everybody seems really eager to get going on this project. So I'm really looking forward to it. And if you have more questions during the project, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me, or if you have thoughts. And one of the things we're looking at is art. We have some art in that section that we need to kind of move and conserve. So while it's, we want to make sure it doesn't get any dust or anything on it. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
There aren't any other comments up here. I guess we could have the public comment.
Lonnie Hoagland, 1408 East Main. This is amazing that this nice director said, maybe I look at tow trucks in a different town. Maybe I look at junkyards. She looks at libraries. I think she needs to get a new hobby. But she's proud of what we've got, and she knows, hey, my library's nice, and you know what? It's getting better. So you can't clap because the mayor will get upset, but that's neat that she's proud of it.
For the record, clapping is only when it's in a negative fashion.
Okay.
I've never said you can't clap for things that we're proud of.
Good job.
And we are proud of the library. Yeah. Proud of the library. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Let's call the roll.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Very good. That carried. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to see what it looks like after June 1. All right. Next resolution.
Resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement confirming and continuing the Solid Waste Management Commission of Marshall County, Iowa as amended.
Move for approval. Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor. The Solid Waste Commission had a meeting on November 18th, and the members voted to pursue adding the City of Roland and the City of McCallsburg to the existing 28E agreement. And in order to amend the agreement, the City of Marshalltown has to confirm that they want to remain a member as part of the proposed amendment.
Okay. Discussion up here. We've got a couple of members of that commission.
Your Honor, the full commission voted unanimously to let them in. Just so people know, I think our tipping rate is $64 per ton. Story County is going to be going to about $96 a ton because their burning facility has been shut down. A lot of their solid waste is going to be hauled to Nevada and to Des Moines. So this is not unusual. We already have, I believe Maxwell is already in our 2080 agreement. The way it works is if we want to accept Roland and McCallsburg, that each individual entity has to vote in favor of it. So LeGrand, Melbourne, all the other towns that are involved will be also voting. They both, Roland and McCallsburg, have a very small waste stream. And Marshall County, with over 75 years of space left, probably more than that, we think it's a good idea.
Very good. Any other comments up here? Any public comment on this one? Roll call.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lonnie Hoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
That one carried, one able. What's our third resolution?
Resolution approving the Marshalltown Municipal Airport 5-year capital improvement program.
Floor is open for a motion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to pull up a revised copy from what is in your packets. If you read my memo, what we included in the packets was the draft version we had submitted to the FAA back in November. They are requiring the final copy due before our next council meeting, so we were waiting on comments for them. And 13 minutes before the meeting, I received a revised copy from our comments that we received. So this is slightly amended, but not by much. So what this is a 5-year plan that we present to the federal government agency, the FAA, that oversees our airport, and more importantly, oversees discretionary funding towards these airports. The city of Marshalltown is part of an airport that receives $150,000 a year that's set aside as airport entitlement funding towards our projects. And we compete for those additional discretionary funds of federal funds that come to our airport. And so that $150,000 builds up year after year, and that goes off of the federal share of a large project. Our next project out there is going to be related to our primary runway. And that is a very large project, projected about $16.4 million. So we are going after the maximum discretionary award, which is combined with our entitlement funds we've been setting aside. And we're asking for a 90% federal share, 10% local share. So that would come to $1.6 million of city local share, and we are going after about $14.4 million of federal share. So that's one of the objectives of submitting these CIP plans to the federal government, is we're asking them for money. The formal grant application is not due till April for these funds, but this starts allowing them to plan that process out. So with your approval tonight, I'm requesting to submit the revised copy in front of you, which I will email you guys out. Again, this has changed just a little bit from the previous draft, with the primary changes being that the runway lighting and the runway reconstruction project was joined into one project. They were both shown separately before, but same in the same fiscal year. The cost, the local share cost on that actually came down just a little bit. And then, other than that, it's about the same as what was presented in the draft. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
Any questions up here? Any public comments? Roll call.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lonnie Hoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Yeah, carried. I'm down to my second to last meeting, so I have to comment. It's a well-run airport. It's beautiful. The hangar out there is huge. It accommodates the big planes. They don't have to de-ice. We got in at 2 a.m. last night from southeast part of the country, and it's just so nice to have a team fly in here in a big jet, be able to refuel, have the greeting in the hangar, which is nice out there, but it's pivotal to have a long runway. You can't attract the big business that we need to have here without having a good long runway and well lit runways and taxiways. So I don't fly anymore, but I have learned the importance of having a good airport, and I'm glad we just got unanimous approval of that. So let's go on to the last resolution.
Resolution consenting to assignment of development agreement and tax increment payments.
Floor is open for this one.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this one.
Yes, Your Honor. In September of 2024, the city entered into a development agreement with Rise M LLC for the construction of a commercial building that's used now as an outpatient healthcare clinic. Rise M LLC has now executed an assignment of a development agreement, transferring all their rights and obligations under the development agreement to Marshalltown, Iowa, FGF LLC. that assignee has agreed to accept all the obligations of the original developer, including compliance with all the terms, conditions, and performance requirements. In order to execute the development agreement assignment, the city has to approve. So that's what the item is before you today.
Thank you. Questions or comments by the council? By the public? Roll call.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Carried as well. On to the two discussion items. The first one's the four-year 2027 budget schedule. Diana.
Good evening, Diana Steiner, Finance Director. It's time to start the budget cycle. Department heads are meeting this month, going over their budgets. And then starting in January, we start to bring you the valuations and the general fund discussion and other topics. This schedule is basically the same as last year. If we get our valuations on time, it should work. We do want to call two special meetings. So the first one's on January 19th at 5:30, and the other one is on, that's my page,
March 23rd.
March 23rd at 5 o'clock. So that 5 o'clock meeting, the only topic can be the public hearing for the proposed property tax levy. You need to adjourn, and then you can start your regular meeting at 5:30. So if these dates and times work for the special meeting, we can do that. If you'd rather have the meeting at noon, that's fine too. Just want to get your input.
Your Honor, I'd just soon have it at the 5:30 timeframe.
Historically, they don't take very long.
The public hearing only takes 5 or 10 minutes, yeah. That would be at 5 o'clock.
I think we've got your consensus on that one.
Okay.
Very good. I guess I should have asked if the public had any comment on that one. I don't see anybody raising a hand, though, so let's go on to flat cameras.
All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Kyle Stevenson, captain with Marshalltown PD. I'm here today to talk flock cameras. I want to clarify just a little bit. There is an underturned request here to some degree, but really what I want to do today is provide an update and allow you to start planning for the future and what decisions we make. So I'll kind of clarify as I go. But as some of you know, most of you know, we started a public safety camera program in Marshalltown several years ago, over a decade ago, I believe. Our Crime Stoppers group raised some money and allowed us to get cameras. So we currently have live feed cameras in our community. Those are located in some public parking lots, some traffic cameras that we call them at heavily traveled intersections, things like that, and then around some businesses. So we currently have those up and going. What we noticed was with those cameras is the maintenance was getting to be more expensive and the maintenance wasn't being covered anymore. So we were being billed for that. So what we decided was, how do we move forward with this and give us the best product? We began to research different options. There was actually a committee formed with members of the PD and some city leadership people. And we decided to look at flock safety for cameras. So flock safety was a change over from the live feed style cameras to more of a license plate reader cameras. The way those cameras work is they're motion activated, they take photos of vehicles and they can differentiate between different vehicle colors, different makes and styles of vehicles. They also read the license plate of the vehicle. This is very advantageous for us when it comes to investigations and when it comes to enforcing the laws here in Marshalltown. So we went to that route. This was in the beginning of 2023 when we first started the research. In late 23, council approved the contract of flock safety, and in March of 2024 is when the camera installation began. late August of 2024 is when the installation completed. So there were some factors in there that slowed us down. There were some permitting issues with the state that slowed us down. There were some supply chain issues of getting some of the poles and the requirements. So there was a decent delay from the start of this program to when it was fully implemented. And what that means is to date, we're about 15 months of full implementation into this program. Okay, so I want you to take those numbers into account when we're looking at this. Today, we have over 270 plus documented uses of the FLOC program, and I'm going to tell you that number is low. I'm going to say it's fairly low, but I know for a fact it's low. When we started this, we were working with officers on documenting every success that they had with this, and when we say success, it could be you generated a lead for this thing. It may not have led to an arrest. It just, if you use this in a positive manner to help your case, you need to document that within the system. So there's a learning curve for some of that. The other thing is we document all of our arrests that we make off of there. The same thing. That number is 160 plus arrests. Again, that number is probably slightly low. The issue we run into with that is sometimes you'll document a use and then you don't arrest a person for a couple weeks later, so they forget to go back and add it in. So we're working internally to keep those as accurate, those numbers accurate, but those are minimum numbers. If not, they're probably higher than that. So out of that 160 plus arrests, I can tell you that nearly every big case, so the big cases that you hear us report about, nearly every single one of those is coming down to FLOC is used. And in some of those, FLOC has been so instrumental that I'm not convinced these cases get solved without it, and I'm positive they don't get solved as efficiently without it. I'm talking about homicides, multiple homicide investigations that we've used FLOC for. That's both internally for our agency and for other outside agencies. We've had a major robbery investigation where the suspects came from out of town. FLOC was instrumental. That's the one that I'm not convinced we would have ever solved if it wasn't for FLOC. We had minimal cooperation from the victims in that case. All we got was a vague vehicle description. We utilized FLOC to identify those vehicles. Large-scale theft. I know last time I gave you the update, I talked about this one, but we had a theft from a company here that was over $50,000 worth of equipment, solely solved because of FLOC cameras. We've used it for missing persons, many warrant arrests, stolen vehicle recoveries. We had 2 fraud cases that I'd like to talk about. One of them is a check fraud case, and this was a group of people that were traveling across states and cashing bad checks. They were washing the fronts of checks, coming into local communities and cashing them all over the place. They came to Marshalltown and cashed a couple checks. And unfortunately for them, we had an officer that was diligent and didn't just take a report and walk away from it like we may have otherwise done. He was able to sift through camera images, find these suspects, identify them, and actually worked with many other agencies to get them arrested. And this was a multi-state crime ring that was going on. The other one that many people are going to be familiar with because it affected probably, I think it was over 50 people in our community were affected by a credit card skimming machine at a local gas station. So most of you are going to be familiar with that. That case was almost solely solved with multiple agencies using FLOC cameras and using the information gained from those to come back and solve those crimes. So again, this has been extremely, extremely important for us, and it's been an extreme success. I would say in my 20 years, I don't even think it's close. This is the most effective change that we've made in my 20 years from a technology standpoint. It's been great. So, as all of you know, the strategic plan for the city set was an expansion of the FLOC camera program. So today what I'm going to talk to you about is what that could look like. I would love for you to tell me to move forward with this today, okay? But I don't necessarily have that expectation. What my expectation is that I want to be transparent with you about here's where we're currently at. We're coming up here, we're probably within 4 to 5 months of renewal for the original contract regardless. So if we wanted to do that expansion now during that time frame, this is what it could look like. Now, what I'm going to tell you tonight doesn't mean we can't make adjustments. It doesn't mean we can't make changes. These are just working with community leaders, working with members of the police department. The plan that we put in place is what we would call a comprehensive plan that would be the most efficient for us to do what we need to do, will be this plan that I'm going to talk to you about today. Some of our goals were filling gaps that we found in our current system right now. That's one of the things that I came to you with last time was trying to get most of the entry points and exit points of town. So this plan would fill the rest of those gaps in. There's also some other widely traveled areas in town that we think that we have some gaps in there, so it'd be filling in some of those gaps. It would also give us an option to add live view traffic cameras, which was originally what we had that we were kind of trying to replace. So instead of still images, we could use the live feed cameras. That would help us for traffic accidents, for sure, traffic flow things, and it would also help us in the event of any accidents that would happen. We've had several accidents at some of these busy intersections, and I think this would be an advantage for us too with the live view cameras. And then the last thing was adding some cameras into the downtown area. Some of that was prompted by maybe even members of council, but definitely people within the city talking about the renewed spaces that we have and all the improvements that we made. We're looking at possibly adding cameras to keep some security in that area. So we added some into this plan. We added some. They would be pan tilt zoom style cameras that we could use uptown. They would basically be preset to a certain direction, but then we would have the ability to go in there and move them around, zoom in. This would be effective during events like Oktoberfest or different events we're hosting uptown. So there could be many advantages to that style of camera in the area. Again, we have some of these cameras in the area already. This would be replacing some of those and adding some additional locations. So the plan that I sent out was 26 additional license plate reader cameras, 4 pan tilt zooms that would focus in the downtown area, again covering that new Main Street project. And then the 8 live view cameras, this would mostly focus on traffic and busy intersections. The nice thing about the live view cameras is they have a discounted rate that Flock runs for those. So it's instead of the normal $3,000 per camera per year, when you have a pre-existing location, you can add for $500, you can add a live view camera as well. So I think that would be beneficial for us in some areas. All those are set up though in busy intersection, areas of busy intersection. Current contract is for $96,000. Again, I believe we're due in May. Around May 1 is when we would be due to update that. So $96,000 is what we're going to be due. The expansion would be an additional $94,000. So while we're adding more cameras than we currently have, it's actually a cheaper rate than what we have right now. And I've been in talks with them too, and I know that they're willing to waive some installation fees depending on timing of everything. So the total for with the expansion will be 190, but again, the current contract's 96, and regardless, we need to make a decision where we're going forward. So I just want to be transparent and let you know what options are out there and what we can do. All right, thanks.
All right, questions up here?
So one question is funding source. I mean, we have the ATE, or traffic enforcement cameras, but that's not sufficient. So where is this money?
Sure. Well, this, Chris Jones, Chief of Police, this project has been largely funded currently through AT money. With the loss of the 12th Avenue camera, only Lincoln Way camera, we have a reduced amount of revenue that's coming in from ATE. Last year, we had approved an Axon agreement that would allow our body cameras, in-car cameras, and tasers to also be covered under council-designated local option sales tax for 1 year and then come out of ATE. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring this to you sooner than later is there likely will not be enough money in ATE funding to cover both of those projects. So both of them are critical projects for our operations. I think everybody would agree that our in-car cameras and our body cameras are definitely a necessity. But from a staff standpoint, what we've been able to do with Flock and the results that we've had with Flock, like Kyle said, it's absolutely changed law enforcement in this community in the 30 years that I've been here. This is by far the most useful tool that I've seen in my career here. And we want to make sure that we're at the front of that project. We're completely open to council discretion at how they want to move forward. Absolutely susceptible to understanding that it's an expensive venture to get into. But I do know one of the reasons the other reason I wanted to bring this up is because I get many questions about the capability of the cameras, how much they cost, where we could put them in other locations. And I just want everyone to know that we've put together a comprehensive plan that in total where all of those cameras can work together to help us at our best benefit. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need all of them, but we can make priorities if we want to move forward and increase the amount of cameras that we have. So we want to use that money efficiently. We want to, if the council decides to go ahead, essentially with designated lost funds, that we make the best use of those funds.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Captain, can I make a request? Sorry. Chief, too, either, whoever's doing it, but Captain Kyle is kind of leading this, if it works for him. You talk about the success rate from those cameras, which is fantastic. I think there's an efficiency calculation that could probably be done, time saved, hours saved for the police department, that you're able to efficiently investigate these and get personnel back to protecting the public as a whole. So when we're evaluating the cost of these flock cameras, I think time savings or cost savings through the efficiency of this would be very helpful in doing that analysis.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I know you and I have had that conversation in the past. My only reluctance about telling you that it saves us time is we're solving cases that we would otherwise be walking away from. So you got to somehow take that into account too, is that you give me a vague description of a vehicle and we have nothing else to go on. I close that case and I walk away from it and we never look at it again, and that never gets solved. So now there's sometimes, though, that we're actually spending more time doing things because we have the capability to investigate some of these crimes. So you report a theft that's maybe what we would call a minor theft, $300-400 item. You give me a vague description, I don't see anything, I don't have any information to go on, I walk away and I close the case. Now I run this through here and maybe I end up spending more time on it because of that. We also may spend more time on arresting people on warrants because we get a warrant arrest on this that eventually they're going to get picked up, but it can create work for us to some degree, but it's in a positive way. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I do think we could run some calculation, but on the end of this, in some ways it creates work too, in a good way. Thanks.
Once again, one of the other questions that also came up is evaluating the amount of data that we're getting from any of the cameras. And one thing I want to remind everybody is that every camera is working with every other installed camera, and it works as a collective system. So even though we may have a camera in a neighborhood that may only have a few hits a week or a few hundred hits a month, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's less important than any of the other cameras in the system. So.
Your Honor?
Yes.
So with the cameras, Captain was talking about them being updated. So what would the new ones have that the old ones don't?
All the cameras, since we're actually in a lease agreement, they're constantly updated with new software internally, and the newest cameras are actually put out and installed. We don't own the cameras. They're actually will be owned by Flock, maintained by Flock, and we wouldn't have any of those costs that are associated with that.
Okay, so I mean, is it safe to say that the tech of them is like more advanced than, the new ones that would be put in, like way more advanced?
I don't know that for sure. I would assume that the systems that we had purchased 15 months ago are probably pretty close to what they are now. But as new technology advances, part of that contract is for them to replace that technology with newer technology. And that was one of the issues that we have with the Crime Stoppers cameras is at some point when we installed those is a very short amount of time before there was new technology available, and we were responsible as a city to be able to upgrade that technology. And if it broke, then we had to go out as a city and pay for those cameras to be replaced. And it started to become more costly than the actual installation of and owning of the camera. So turning that responsibility over as part of this lease type agreement will make sure that we have the best possible equipment at any given time. And Flock has been very good. And we have had concerns about some of the cameras working or not working at certain times, and questions about how they're pointed and whether or not they could be better suited in the positions they are. And they've been more than responsive to us about making those adjustments and changing those so we can get the best results from the equipment that they're providing.
Okay, and so when we're talking about like the cases, do we have any numbers on what the cameras have like if there was a case that happened in Marshalltown, it was a Marshalltown resident, are the cases more Marshalltown residents or like more outside individuals, or what amount of the flock system data is of each category, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we have the data. That would take a long time for me to go through and differentiate who was internal, inside Marshalltown resident and not, but we technically would have all that data. So I guess I don't know how to answer the question best, but it's a combination. We've had a lot of people from out of town that come into town that have warrants for their arrests that get arrested here. We've had stolen vehicles come from out of town. We've had other major cases where the suspect will come into town and they'll be arrested in town. So there has been several from out of town, but local, and we arrest a lot of local people that have warrants or things like that, or it's used for those too. So
Okay.
I don't have the numbers, I guess, is the best answer to
I
your
guess,
question.
I mean, I'm just curious to know what amount of it is internal and like, obviously protecting and serving the town. I just want to know on that. And so more about like the surveillance part of the flock cameras. Is there any comments on that other than just the plate reading? Is there anything else like that gets like that you can see, or obviously people walking or stuff like that?
So I guess there's multiple different types of cameras that we're looking at on the proposal if we do the expansion. So the license plate reader cameras are motion activated when vehicles drive by, and they take multiple images, which is of the vehicle. So it'll capture the vehicle color, make, type of vehicle. So not really the model by name, but a model as in a truck, a sedan, a van, those kind of things. And then it will specifically isolate the license plate and give us that information along with the license plate state. If somebody happens to be walking in the roadway next to this vehicle, yes, it would see somebody walking in the roadway, but it's not triggered it's not meant to trigger on people, it's meant to trigger on vehicles. The other ones we're looking at are the live feed cameras. Those would just be a continuous recording in the intersections that we'd be looking at. All those are designed to be facing towards major intersections. For example, Anson and 3rd Avenue, Olive and Center, like some of these major areas where we have a lot of traffic and potential for traffic accidents, things like that. Those would capture anything. It's just a picture or recording that's going on live in that intersection. Okay.
Okay.
And then the last one would be a pan tilt zoom style camera. Those are the ones we're looking at for the downtown area. That'd be the same as the live recording, other than we have the ability to go in there and physically move the camera, zoom in, and see other things in the area. So it gives you a little bit wider range of use. But when it's in a standard mode, it would just be in a standard, in a home position is what they call it, and it would be pointed in a certain area. It would look just like a live feed camera until it was moved or zoomed, so it's a pan tilt zoom style camera.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Your Honor? Sure. So Kyle, the ATE revenue moving forward, do you see that being enough to pay for the body cameras, the car cameras, and the tasers on an annual basis?
Currently, the AT funding that we have would pay for the current flock system as we have it now, no expansion, and not for the Axon. So we're bringing in about $100,000 in revenue estimated annually.
So
Net.
where I'm going with this, Chief, is, so if we use local option sales tax, it's not just a one-year commitment, it's an annual commitment of another up to $100,000,
That's
give
correct.
or take. So you're asking, what you're really asking for, you're planting the seed that you need $100,000 a year for us to designate coming out of local option sales tax. I mean, let's cut to the chase. That's what we're doing, right?
For the comprehensive plan, and like I said, that's just an example of how we want to put those cameras. We could find areas within the community that all of the council or the community would want a camera. We just want to try to fit it within that plan.
Then, and don't get me wrong, I think the thing has been a great success. I think it helps people be smarter, keeps honest people honest, and does some things. But the other thing is, so Kyle, with your research, what future expansions would you need after this one? does this close the gaps for all the entrances to city and the other major intersections? Or is there going to be, are you coming back in a year or 2 years and saying, hey, I need these other 12 intersections?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make any promises that I can't hold to, but no, when we put this plan together, our plan was, if we're going to go there and say, this is what we want to finish this off, to get where we want to be, this is going to be the plan. So my best answer for you is the plan is that this is what we're looking at moving forward, and we should be long-term good with this. Things could change. We could have increased crime in certain areas that we want to try to cover, or maybe you all or somebody decides we want cameras in parks. Okay, we've got some new park upgrades coming. Maybe they decide they want a camera in that area. We would encourage them to utilize this system, so that could add. I mean, there are many factors that could add, but I think from our standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint, I think this is a good comprehensive plan for long term.
Okay, and I'm not going to hold you to anything, obviously, but I've had previous conversations with Chief about areas, and I think it's a no-brainer that if we add anything, it's going to be the live feed cameras, in certain areas, other than, more flock cameras, because the stationary ones, you're going to have what you need on all the roadways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this plan, and I actually think it's well worth the revenue to commit from local option sales tax every year. Not making a motion to go that direction, I'm just saying, my feeling is, I'd like to hear what other people have to say, but my feeling is, this is a great investment for the safety of our city. Thanks, Your Honor. Thanks, guys.
Dubuque, when the Crime Stoppers first started looking into the live feed cameras, Dubuque had already put in 2,000, and it solved some major murder cases by them, and so that's what got the fundraising going with Crime Stoppers, and we've had some intersection collisions be solved already with our cameras. We're just way behind what Dubuque and some of the other cities have done with them.
Yep, and I would agree, the city camera last week solved a traffic accident out here at Center and State where people were having a conflict about what happened. They help, and they help us, they help insurance companies. I think they help us keep us safe.
Hit and runs, the murder over on 16th, 17th Avenue or whatever, I think that was a flat camera resolution. You got a conviction in that one that you may not have ever been able to do. Other council comments or questions? Otherwise, any public comment about this one?
Tim Bradbury, 12 North 10th Avenue. I see a lot of good things about it, but I just got two questions. Due to some rumor, or some may not be telling the facts, can other agencies use this, like Highway Patrol or ICE or anybody else, or is it just strictly city use only doing this? Can any other agency butt in on it? And then also, is any of these cameras to just, what I was several saying on there, and I just wanted to have it straight out if it's true or not, is it to also like put cameras around the blocks and whatever to try to watch people if they come back to their crime area or going back to their home if they're looking for somebody or whatever? And if that's the case, then is there a good chance there could ever in the later on or whatever, not to say that it would ever happen, penalties if there's ever misuse of that for either political reasons or whatever somebody would get into? Is that system really safe that just the officers are using it? Is there an independent person using it? How does that work?
Yeah, great questions. So this is just accessed by law enforcement. We do share broadly with other law enforcement agencies, and I've talked to you about that in the past, but not the federal government. So you were asking about ICE or whatever. We don't share with any federal agencies, just other local agencies, state agencies. Specifically with when it comes to Homeland Security, Flock does not have any contract with them. They're getting a lot of pushback right now, and they're fighting some of these battles because people make allegations that aren't true. But they have no contract with Homeland Security. They did do short pilot with them earlier in the year, but that has ended. And some of the things that they've learned from there is they're separating out the federal government from state and local agencies. So they won't let the federal government even do nationwide and full state lookup things, and they keep them in their own separate system. So it's fairly safe. And then from like an accountability standpoint, we have policy in place on what people can use it for. And we could probably use this more aggressively than we are. For example, I've tried to encourage officers not to use it for routine traffic violations. So like something minor, maybe like you just have no driver's license. You're driving around without a driver's license. I encourage people, we're not putting that kind of stuff, we're not using the system for that kind of minor thing. Now, if you have no driver's license and we suspect that you're getting ready to sell drugs, maybe you're going to make it in the system. But we're using this for more major stuff, warrants, things like that. We're not even using it for minor stuff. And there's significant punishment for officers for misuse of this thing. And I would go as far as to saying up to including termination of employment. If they truly misuse this for ill intent, this would probably end a career in law enforcement by doing something like that. So we take this stuff seriously. It's no different than our NCIC certification, where we can run any driver's license, criminal histories. Misuse of that can end a career. This would be in a similar boat to that. And we take it very seriously. We audit it. We check into this stuff all the time. Thanks.
Marco Yepes Gomez, 36 West Main Street, Unit 309. So first, I want to preface with that, what I'm about to say isn't in opposition to the police department, but rather with Flock, the company, Flock Safety. And first and foremost, I do want to concede the point that Flock has been a tremendous tool that the community has used. A few weeks ago, there was a tragedy that happened in 3rd Avenue and Main Street where Flock was used. I think earlier this year, there was a shooting that happened at a park by Riverview, and Flock was used to solve that. And so, yeah, there's no doubt that there's use to this technology. But at the same time, advocacy groups like the ACLU and the Electric Frontier Foundation, both very prominent advocacy groups. They're not just some random crazy advocacy groups. They're very prominent. The ACLU, they're basically responsible for desegregation of schools. So they're pretty prominent. They fought for LGBT rights, women rights. So I do want to stress that they have a lot of authority here. They make the point that ICE has used Flock data for their operations. When small police departments have access to a lot of this Flock data that ICE can inquiry about. The ACLU has a story where a woman in Texas was nationally hunted for seeking an abortion, and the EFF, the Electric Frontier Foundation, also talks about how multiple cities in the U.S. during the No Kings protest that happened a few months ago were using Flock data for surveillance. So I think, I think it'd be foolish for of us to think that Flock cameras don't have any purpose. They have, obviously, they've helped our community a lot. But I think it's also foolish to dismiss the ACLU, an advocacy group that has a lot of pedigree and advocacy. I would urge council to really not dismiss, just like we're not dismissing what the captain or the chief are saying about Flock, also to not dismiss the concerns that the ACLU has. I think it's extreme to just say that Flock cameras, we should just say yes and just, proceed with the default agreement that we have with Flock. And I also think it's extreme to say that we don't need Flock because there's obvious usefulness. So I think, I'd wish that, City Council could confirm a lot of these concerns that advocacy groups have, and Yeah, so my time ran out. Can I have an additional minute? Okay, cool. Thank you. And so, yeah, just consider what the ACLU has. And I've emailed you guys on Saturday morning about amendments to consider. You know, I guess I'm trying to just really stress that these aren't just some random concerns. And then I also want to bring up impact funding. So impact funding will likely come from the ATE funds. It sounds like there won't be any funds. Impact will need $180,000. I don't know where those $180,000 will come from. I know that there's like Lost, but you know, even with Lost, if it's $100,000 adding to it and then 180, that's $250,000 every year. So I don't know. That kind of worries me. So thank you for the additional minute. Thank you.
Everybody got some additional time tonight. And Lonnie, we didn't even start your clock until you've been up here for a minute and a half. That's fine.
I just want to address a couple things that were mentioned there. Flock recognizes some of these concerns that were just brought up when it comes to immigration stuff, when it comes to reproductive rights, things like that. So they have installed stuff that will prevent any kind of searches to those inquiries. I'm guessing they did that by legislative action in certain states, but what they did was made this available to any user. So we've already activated those search restrictions that doesn't allow people to use the searching for the reproductive rights, for federal immigration stuff. So again, we're already taking this stuff seriously. We're already looking into this, and we internally do reviews on our stuff and handle any complaints, and we'd handle any misuse of this accordingly to any officers. So. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Start the clock now.
Lonnie Hoagland, 1480 Main. I think it's a good idea to spend the money on those. If you're not doing anything bad, it won't bother you. It is an amazing tool. Like he says, I can't imagine being the policeman today of what it was. He mentioned he's an officer for 30 years. Can you imagine how much easier that is? Or I'm thinking the little GPS thing that says, take me to 1408 East Main Street, turn left, turn right, poof, you're there. This had to be a game changer for the police. I don't know what Flock stands for. I don't know how many people know what they do. I don't know what they do. Do they look for Joel Greer and it says he's got this car and it'll look him down? Can the police tell us what they do? They've kind of touched on a little bit, but I don't know about them.
The cameras are license plate reader cameras, so the camera just takes a photograph of the car. Flock Safety does utilize AI technology to identify the vehicle, such as color, make, the things that I talked about earlier. It uses AI to provide that information. There is no owner information tied to this, so I cannot add Mayor Greer's name in there and search for any vehicles under him. There's no communication from DOT files, registration files to Flock. Now, there's communication about warrants. When people have warrants, we'll know that they're tied to that plate, but that's all in the entry of the plate itself, but there's no owner information. So when I see a hit on a vehicle, I see the make, the model, I see a photo of the vehicle, but there's no owner information, nothing about that when I see an actual plate read. So it's just that simple. Thanks.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would make a motion to give direction to staff to come back with a resolution utilizing local option sales tax, and I'll leave it to the city administrator and the police chief to come up with an annual amount, and then plus a time period. I don't think it should be open-ended. We need to, be able to reevaluate it. So my motion would be come back with a resolution using local option sales tax to fund Flock on an annual basis, these improvements in the program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Well, let's call the roll.
May I just ask about timing? I know I do have a budget meeting tomorrow with Chris and Diana to talk about the police department budget. I'd like to kind of work my way through some of the other general fund budgets to get an idea of, is there any funding available that we could use for this in the general fund? Maybe not, but maybe so. So I'd like to take a look at that. Does council have a preference on timing of coming back with that resolution?
Your Honor, I would say for year one right now, leave this outside of the general fund. You know, just fund this flock expansion in the first year contract out of local option. That's the recommendation I'm making anyway.
With budget meetings in January and March and the deadline being May 1,
what I'm
come
saying
in
is
focus.
bring this back next meeting and let's move forward with this so we can get them to get their order in and everything in a timely basis so we can start getting this stuff installed as soon as the weather breaks.
Question? So, but the contract needs to be renewed before May. Is that a correct date?
I would have to look at the exact timing. They gave us an extension because of the delay in getting all the cameras up. Basically, I complained about we're missing out on part of our time of full implementation. So I believe they extend us 2 months, would put us to May 1. I do believe that they're fairly flexible with us, so if it helped on a budget term, we may be able to even defer that payment until after July 1 to hit another budget. If that made any difference in your planning, we might be able to push that payment off until July 1 and make that the renewal. So I think they would work with us on some stuff, but as it stands right now, we're due, I believe it's at the beginning of May. Correct.
Your Honor. Kyle, so where I'm at with this, the way I'm going this direction is, if there is extra money in the general fund, I don't want you to lose out on something else you need because we're going to pay for this with that available money. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, like I said, I trust you guys to determine where the money should come from. That's, yeah.
Your Honor, I think I'd rather do a comprehensive budget and go through the whole thing as a comprehensive plan and not piecemeal special projects at this point without being able to see the broad view. I'm not objecting to anything. I just want to see it in the picture and make sure everything that we could put everything together.
Your Honor, if I may. I agree with Councilor Nichols. I want to see the whole budget. I want to see how everything plays into it and keys into it to make sure that we're spending the money in the wisest way. I'm not objecting to what you're doing. I just think that cherry picking one item for the next budget, I think we need to have a better look at the entire budget.
Your Honor, may I ask a question? Doesn't impact me. As a citizen, well, Captain Stevenson, sorry to make you keep walking. So if we do wait through the budget process, what is the timing of implementation for a rollout of equipment? Just in general, are we looking at months? Is it weeks? What is it?
Probably somewhere right between there. I'm guessing 8 weeks to 12 weeks would be like a rollout. That's my guess. That's what I recall from last time as we move forward. But again, there was other delays last time that were unforeseen. So I'm going to guess in that 1 to 3 month time frame from the time we signed to the time we could probably start seeing cameras going up.
Okay, thank you. Just worthwhile in the consideration of what evaluation happens.
Question, so are they going to be installing in the middle of winter anytime?
Some of this I'm answering without really knowing. This is all preliminary. We've looked at them for pricing, and we've been we're in communication with them all the time, honestly, for just making sure everything's going good. So I have not asked at all about lead times. I was waiting to kind of see where we went here. So I don't really know. I do assume they would install in the wintertime. That's my assumption. But I don't know that for sure. Thanks.
Well, if I can try to get a consensus here, impact is mentioned, and that's a good project. The police have, we know they've been able to show the time saved by the police force plus also the number of people that haven't been sent to jail, saved by having that program. This flock program has demonstrated itself to be very valuable. So going forward, Barry and I aren't going to be at these meetings in the future probably and won't have a vote, but at least we know they're important projects to look at when you're trying to put the budget together.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
May I make a recommendation to Counselor Thompson? Your same motion, but utilizing local option sales tax as the backup funding source to allow some overview of budget consideration, but still having a high level of confidence that we'll move forward, just waiting for evaluation to see what the best funding source for that would be.
Yeah. I appreciate that question. Been through these budget meetings, and you too, and all of us have, local option sales tax has always been used for special projects. That's the way we use that discretionary fund. In going through all these budget hearings before, I know something's going to come up. There's going to be a vehicle. There's going to be, something different, ammunition, weapons, something in the line of duty, type stuff. I don't want to take this out of the general fund because all we would be doing is then going back to lost later in the year to fund something for them. So I'm saying I don't want to change my motion. Let it fail or pass on its own merits. Let someone else, if it fails, let someone else make a different motion. I'm just saying the general fund has enough stress on it every year. We don't need to saddle the police department with $100,000, overhead for something that I think is outside of the police department. It's a community-wide safety issue. So I appreciate your recommendation, but I'll just leave it on the table the way it is. Thank you.
My sense is we kind of have an idea, and staff does too, where things stand.
And I'll make the, can I?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make the amendment to not bring it up as a resolution, but to have staff look through where it would best be funded and give us the comprehensive idea of how the flock system, how it should be funded. That's my amendment.
Is there a second to that amendment?
I would second that.
Okay, let's vote on that first.
Well, I'm sorry, can I get clarification on the
Yeah,
amendment?
yeah.
I'm not sure if it feels opposed to the amendment that's on the floor.
Okay, so bring it back so how would it not oppose it, but adding to it? But
Well,
not
unless
as
you wanted to put it on a different date. Counselor Thompson said the next meeting, if you wanted to offer a different date to do that. Otherwise, I would say vote on the motion that's before you and then consider a second motion more in line of what you're saying.
Okay, so.
Yeah, if.
Okay, I guess, so not for this next meeting, but for the one in January when we're talking about budget? Would that be better? Okay, vote on the first one, okay.
Are you withdrawing that amendment?
I'll withdraw it.
Yeah, let's take the vote on the original motion then. And that is to come back by the next meeting. Have staff come back.
Yes, with the resolution to use lost for the annual appropriation for the camera implementation. Right. Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca,
No?
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
No.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols.
Carried 4-3. That concludes our discussion items, so let's adjourn at 7 o'clock. Thank you for attending. We forgot to vote on how long this would run tonight.
Kelsey?
Like, who's saying my name?
Well, you need to. I told everybody on Facebook.